Namaste and greetings to our monthly meditation. Today's focus is on the concept of boldness. And as always, we begin with the breath, the inhalation and the exhalation. While we are breathing, we bring to our understanding the concept of the rainbow, which is made up of various colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And suppose for a moment that the color red decided that it didn't want to express its redness, and so it dulled itself. Now the color is murky and no longer quite red. And suppose that red was doing this because it didn't want the other colors to feel a certain kind of way. So red lessened itself, turned itself down. Red, like all of the other colors, is meant to shine, is meant to express, is meant to be its fullest expression of itself, just like you and I, just like all of us. So while we breathe, let our thoughts be anchored, let our awareness be anchored to the truth that we have the opportunity to allow ourselves to show our true colors, to express yourself in full, without fear, without the need to hide, to lessen yourself. You're divine, you're special, and it shines. Allow that shine to be the full expression of yourself. Live in full, to overflow. Let that divine nature, that which is God, express itself in, through, and as you right now. That is holy boldness, expressing that in full. Let your spiritual magnificence shine and express, to be awesome just as you are. Breathe and let love encompass you and radiate from you. Breathe and let hope fully encompass you and radiate from you. Breathe and let inspiration fully encompass and radiate from. Breathe and let your sacred holiness encompass and radiate from. Breathe and let your true nature, that which is God, let it encompass you and radiate from you. We notice in all of nature, whether it be a tree, a rose, flowers, insects, the clouds, the sun, all of nature expresses itself. Fish, cats, dogs, all of it, all that nature is, shows itself in fullness, its full color, its full expression, without reservation, without blocking, without fear. It simply shows. The sun simply shines. Animals simply move. Flowers simply bloom. Simple. And so in this moment, it is our turn, your turn, my turn to simply bloom, to simply move through life, to simply shine as the sun does, simply show, simply be that which God is in expression as all that we are. And when life happens, we come back and remember that the sun can be obscured by clouds, and there is darkness, and there is rain, and there are storms, and yet still the sun is there shining, even though obscured. And over time, that which blocks the sunlight moves. The sun shines. It is bright once again. The rain has stopped. The rainbow appears. That which is beautiful, just like our lives, we remember, we are reminded. Our true self, that which is God, never fades, never runs out, never. So when life happens and we feel the frustrations, still, back of all, there is God. Hope, love, joy. It is still present back of all. Maybe we do not notice it in the moment because of the frustrations and the chaos of life, and yet still, that which is the presence in, through, and as us, no matter what, is still there. Breathing, remember. Breathing, connected to that which is true, that which is principle, that which is all there is. And so we often remind, often notice, often express. The situations of life will happen, but still, the frustrations will still, the chaos will still, and yet, it doesn't go for as long as it once did. The frustration becomes shorter in time and experience. The arguments become shorter in time and experience. The chaos, the heartbreak, the trauma becomes shorter. The healing comes faster, deeper, more profound, more impactful. So when we know the truth about ourselves, when we are allowing that truth to be deeply ingrained within us with conviction and trust, we realize it doesn't stop the chaos, the heartbreak, the trauma. It does not stop it, but it does soften it. It helps us through the process of healing. It helps us through the process of being connected and being aware. Love and peace, joy, all of these things become more present, more impactful, more influential in our lives and as the expression of our lives. So while we breathe, we anchor to that which is true. We anchor to that awareness. We anchor and we remember right here and right now. Breathe. So our time here during this meditation is coming to a close. And yet, this awareness, this truth, this peace is ongoing. That need not be over. It need not stop. It can be continuous throughout our day, every day, Monday through Friday, Sunday and Saturday. It doesn't matter what is going on. This meditative awareness, this peace, this truth in expression can continue. Whenever the feeling of stress and frustration arises, remember who you are and remember what you are. You are that which God is expressing itself. You are the universe breathing itself. You are love living itself. You are the sun and the moon, the colors and the wind, the waters. You are all of creation. Right here and right now. Remember. See and remember. Remember and live well. Live boldly in expression, showing who and what you are, your light. Let it shine. So it is. Namaste. Love you.
Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. I am the founder and the spiritual director. Now, as you are sitting there joining us, you may have questions, any number of questions, such as, who am I? How did I get here? Spiritually integrated arts means what exactly? What is a teaching center? Well, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is that? What does that even mean? Or New Thought, or religious science, or science of mind and spirit? You may have any number of questions about this specific community, about the parent organization, CSL, our philosophy, our teaching, our liberation theology. Any number of questions. Feel free to send an email. We look forward to connecting more and building our virtual community, our global community. And if you haven't connected yet on social media, feel free to do so. This is your invitation now. Also, did you know that all of our Sunday messages are archived on our YouTube channel? You can watch it anytime. Now, questions about anything, such as becoming a member. What does that mean? What does membership entail? And if you live somewhere far and already belong to a spiritual community, can you be a member of more than one? The simple answer is yes, you can. Just like you can shop at more than one grocery store, you can attend or be a member of more than one gym. We are building beloved community. So you can do both. You can be a member of both. You can be involved with both. That's what being in spiritual community means. So we welcome you. We invite you. We are so appreciative that you have found this community and that you have joined us today. We bless you. We love you. We welcome you. Live long and prosper. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of our Sunday message. Love you. Connect with you soon. Blessings.
Namaste, greetings, and welcome to June. Happy Pride Month. As we enter into the theme of this month, Holy Boldness, today's talk specifically, Sacred Audacity. Breathe. Our participation is needed in this thing called life. In this work to create and manifest a world that works for all, our participation is needed. And within this transformation, we all have choices. You may think you don't have a choice, but there's always a choice. I didn't used to believe that. I don't have a choice. And then when I don't remember how old I was, I learned about those Africans who were kidnapped during the transatlantic slave trade and how many of them chose the ocean over enslavement. We all have choices. We all have this ability to choose. We have volition in how we engage life, in how we participate in life. And we can choose to either subdue our divine expression. The symbolism here is subdue our light, which I want to make sure we're not vilifying the darkness, because we need both the dark and the light to create. So for me, it's we can either subdue our divine expression, our sacred audacity, or we can choose to express it and live boldly in a vibrant, impassioned manner. Many people think or will say things like, we need Spirit's permission, or Spirit gave us permission. And for me, that's New Thought 101. That's a basic concept of this thing called Spirit and this thing called us within this thing called Spirit. So for me, there's no need to get permission from Spirit because it is what we are. Spirit is already living, moving, and having its beingness as us to express creatively. My lungs don't need permission from me to do this thing called respiration. My eyes don't need permission from me to blink. My arms and hands don't need permission to do American Sign Language or to pick up a cup. My esophagus doesn't need permission when I drink or eat. You get my point. So for me, why would Spirit need to give permission to itself to show up as this divinely magnificent, individualized expression of itself? This divine spiritual magnificence is what it is, and it's ever present to itself, as itself. No permission needed. It simply is. So we get to step out of the box, step out of the confined limitations of, we get to draw and color outside of the boundaries, outside of the lines. We get to do what we choose to do, to live and think beyond the fears that hold us captive, the fears that will not give us access to our imagination and our creativity. We get to live beyond that with courage and boldness and sacred audacity. And so when we act intentionally, when we act humbly, when we act from the infinite wellspring of life itself, then we can boldly rise in a grand, extravagant, audacious manner. We get to transform our lives. We get to transform the world. And all of this happens because this sacred audacity fuels us, inspires us, encourages us to reach, to stretch, to thrive, and to be fully alive. And if we're going to talk about sacred audacity, then we have to talk about audacity, which generally, when we reference it, it's in a non life affirming manner. How dare you? You had the audacity to pull me aside and scold me. Rude, disrespectful, impolite. Generally, when someone references audacity, this is where they are referencing. And yet, sacred audacity, or a more life affirming, we haven't gotten to sacred yet, a more life affirming energy of audacity also is part of the definition. We don't often use this definition, but audacity is a willingness to take bold risks, to have less fear, more bravery and courage, to be adventurous, to have the guts to create a world that works for all. Which version, which definition, which energy of audacity are you living from? Barack Obama says, that was the best of the American spirit. I thought, having the audacity to believe, despite all the evidence to the contrary, that we could restore a sense of community to a nation torn apart by conflict. The gall to believe that despite personal setbacks, the loss of a job, or an illness in the family, or a childhood mired in poverty, we had some control and therefore responsibility over our own fate. When I first read this, the first thing that popped into my mind was a remix. That was the best of the, not just the American spirit, that was the best of the human spirit. To have the audacity to not be bound by precedent, to not allow hindsight to restrict our insight, our foresight, our God sight. That no matter the evidence, to have this divine spirit as a human, as the universe itself, living, moving, and being me, that no matter the evidence, this can be changed. And to assume the responsibility to change it individually and collectively. So this idea of sacred audacity is taking the life-affirming audacity and revving it up even more to where we can't help but to take on, to do what is, to live, move, and be. We can't help but. It's who we are. Just like, as long as nothing is preventing me from breathing, I can't help but to breathe. If I eat, as long as everything's working properly, I can't help but to digest and eventually eliminate. I can't help but to let the nutrients move through it's going to happen. If I do A and then B, C is going to happen. If I get a glass of water, A, and I drink it, B, C is going to happen. I get a sandwich, I take a bite and chew and swallow. C is going to happen. It has to. Sacred audacity is that. It's getting to the position of, we're going to talk about this in a second, changing your thinking, changing your life. It's getting to the point where this and this, my active awareness, plus this, my intentional directionality of my awareness, this has to happen. Now, many of you are familiar with this quote, and you probably attribute it to Louise Hay. Keep in mind, she was a practitioner of religious science. So when Dr. Holmes says, change your thinking, change your life, we have to remix this because it's not as simple as this. More accurately, it is by changing your mental equivalent, plural, your life has to change. When you change this, A, B, and C, when you change this, this must occur. Your life must change when these, the four pillars of your mental equivalent change. This has to change. Now, if you're new, you may not know what the four pillars are. Your thinking, your belief, your paradigm, the manner in which you communicate, the words you use, etc., your body language, communication, emotions and feelings, and actions. When all four of these are aligned in a life-affirming manner, your life will change in a way that mirrors these. It has to. Now, does that automatically mean that if I change these and align these with being a millionaire, that my life will? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. But your life will change. It has to. If you change the thoughts you think, you change the way you speak, you change how you relate to your emotional body, your feelings, etc., and you change your actions, your life has to change. And if these changes are life affirming, then your life has to change in a life affirming manner. It's inevitable. It's just like gravity. If I jump out of a tree, I don't float up. If this, then that. If this, change your mental equivalents, all four pillars, then that. So that's our invitation. But see, the thing is, most of us aren't aware of what our mental equivalents even are. We're not attuned to our thoughts. We tend to suppress or ignore our emotions. We're not mindful stewards of our communication. And most of our actions are simply rote habits that we, every day, every day, every day, every day, on repeat. If you don't change what you're doing, then what you want won't change. What you get won't change. Not in the way that you say you desire it. So therein lies our sacred, audacious invitation to align all four pillars in a way that aligns with being bold in a holy manner, audacious in a sacred way, and realizing that you can change your mind. Even when things are going on around you, you can change your mind. Harriet Tubman, at one point, was what we refer to as a slave. She changed her mind and acted accordingly. Frederick Douglass changed his mind and acted accordingly. Both of these individuals then proceeded to do the work of emancipation, the abolition of slavery. Each and every one of us has a mind. There is only one mind, and that mind is God, and that mind is infinitely creative, infinitely powerful, infinitely wise, and so much more. And that mind is your mind right now. And you can make use of it. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Napoleon Hill. Now, when he says whatever, we could go down the rabbit hole of that whatever in so many different ways. But for the time being, let's just do a general remix. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe with conviction, the mind, your mental equivalence, can create the conditions to evolve, to shift, to grow, and transform in order to achieve the whatever. Now, the whatever is in italics because there's a fine line between whatever. If my mind can conceive and believe with conviction that war will be eradicated and ended, will it in my lifetime? Who knows? My mind can conceive and believe of health and well-being, and yet there's still COVID, right? So we could discuss the concept of whatever, because in the grand scheme of things, the whatever means whatever. If you can conceive and believe with absolute conviction, the way we are told that Jesus, Yeshua, believed and conceived with conviction, then all forms of healing are possible. All forms of curing are possible. And everything else. In the grand scheme of things, yeah, we could have that discussion. But for right now, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you can conceive and believe with conviction that you can walk on water. Can you conceive and believe with conviction that you are living your best life? Can you conceive and believe with conviction that you are the embodiment of peace on earth, goodwill to all? Can you conceive and believe with conviction that you deserve to be loved, to feel love, and to express love? Let's start there. Let's start with those as the whatever. Are you able to get there? Can you conceive of a life that works for you? Can you believe a life that works for you? Do you have the conviction to shift what needs to be shifted, to evolve, to transform in order to achieve a life that truly works for you? And to let that energy then ripple out, to engage in the conversations that that energy ripples out, to confront what needs to be confronted so that energy ripples out, etc., etc., to create a world that works for all. Can you conceive and believe with conviction that? If not, then that's our invitation. That's the work. How do I do it, Reverend Ray? What exactly do I put into place? What then that's the conversation. But if we're not willing to even explore, do I have? Am I willing to have? Am I willing to believe, to imagine, to act? Am I willing to explore my mental equivalence to see if, or what, or how? We have to start there. Because if we're not even willing to explore that, then there's no way we're going to explore sacred audacity. There's no way we're going to embody holy boldness. Because we would rather play small. Breathe. Can you conceive of any of these things? Can you conceive of housing for all? Can you believe and act with conviction? Can you conceive, believe, and act with the conviction that creates equity for all? Cooperative economics, nutritious, life sustaining food for all. Because if we cannot conceive, believe with conviction these things, then we're simply giving lip service. We are simply talking the talk, but we're not walking it. It's going to forever be a vision that we hold rather than a vision that we manifest. So what's it going to be is the question. What are we choosing to be is the question. Tony Robbins says, if you are not living up to your greatest potential in any area of your life, then you are settling. It can be hard to admit, but when you do, then you will finally discover how to never settle for less ever again. Where in our lives are we settling? Do we settle for the mediocrity of the vision, a world that works for all? Do we settle for mediocre levels of love, mediocre levels of joy and peace, happiness? Do we settle for the mediocrity of a political system that works for a few? Do I settle for being mediocre, not living up to my best? Now, my best art and Michelangelo's best art, his art is his art. My art is my art. Can my business be my business? Can my art be my art without needing to compare? Can it? I have to explore. Where am I settling for less than? And once I identify it, then it's possible to move beyond it. You say, what now? But what if you're not living up to, because of the societal limitations? Yes. Now, that's a different thing, though. How society may limit your potential and how you may limit your potential. Yeah. Within the confines of society, there are going to be, for example, the pay gap between the genders of men and women. Women do not get to live up to their full potential financially in a toxic patriarchal society that uses toxic capitalism and gender bias. Right. So the practice is for the women to realize their divine worth and then to do the work to change the system, to eradicate the toxic patriarchy by healing, to eradicate the toxic capitalism by transforming, and then stepping into an entirely new era of. But we have to be able to identify. Can I identify that I'm not living up to my potential because of the collective societal limitations, or is it because of my own personal limitation? Am I keeping myself stuck? Or am I ready, willing, and able to live boldly? This is one of the things I love about drag queens and being part of the LGBTQ community, because the energy of the Two-Spirit is the energy of, I'm going to live my authentic life, and I need your approval. Never. I don't need your acceptance. I don't want your tolerance. I'm going to live my life. Period. Now, By doing that, the energy of culture and society begins to break down and change and shift, and then acceptance and then legislation shifts and moves to support, to nurture. But it still requires the work. It's not an overnight thing. Changing hearts is not an overnight thing many times when it comes to these societal, collective consciousness related limitations. What? Okay, you're requesting a remix. Okay, that's fine. Not a problem. So the remix is referencing, as I said, the societal limitations, the laws and things that have been instituted to hold people back, the various kinds of systemic oppression related to all kinds of things: racism, sexism, homomisia, etc. All of it. These societal things. So if you are not living up to your greatest potential in any area of your life, you are invited to identify what exactly is blocking you. And once you can identify it, you can apply all of the tools and all of the resources that you do have to change both the internal and the external causes, which then change the effect. Can't change what we won't identify. So ask yourself, one, am I living up to my greatest potential in any area of my life? Are there any areas where I'm not living up to my greatest potential? Yes. Why not? What's going on there over here? Yes, but over there? No. What's going on over here then? Oh, it's this. Is that an external thing? Societally limiting and restricting? Or is it internal? Identify it and then make use of all of the tools and all of the resources that you have, starting with your mental equivalence. Not about money, not about friends. It starts with, do I recognize and realize who and what I truly am? As my first tool and first resource, do I recognize who and what I truly am as the divine expression of life itself, God incarnating itself in, through, and as me? Do I recognize that? Do I realize that? Am I living from that as my first tool and resource? If not, there's the invitation. If so, then step into, now what are the other tools and resources that I have access to shift and change in order to live my greatest potential in every area of my life? That's our invitation. Choose to live your life to its full potential and take any and all necessary actions to do so. Choose. It's not about some divine destiny that God preordained. It's about our choosing. I choose to live my full potential as a father and grandfather, artist, minister, practitioner, speaker, author, whatever it is. And once I have chosen it, take whatever necessary actions I need to take in order to manifest it. What, you again? Okay, so you're not sure what the necessary actions are. Okay. It depends on what the choosing is. If I am choosing to live my full life, my full potential as an author, then one necessary action is I have to write. not just once a month, once a week, once every third Saturday. Excuse me, the bug flying around. But I have to choose it as a regular part of my life. If it's to be a loving father, then the necessary actions are to do things that are loving, supportive, nurturing to my children, at least those that will give me the opportunity to do so. Matthew 8:13 says, "It is done unto you as you believe." Yes, yes, but believe. What does that mean? As you believe. Well, and Jesus said unto the centurion, "Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so it be done unto you." Is where it comes from. And his servant was healed in the self same day. To believe is a full bodied energy. You can't just believe in your mind. I believe that I'm going to hit the Mega Million and Powerball. Okay. I believe that I'm going to get in shape. Okay. I believe that I'm going to stop smoking this year. Okay. Are you taking the necessary actions to? You're not. Then it doesn't matter. See, the centurion believed, which is why he approached Jesus in the first place. The centurion believed, which is why he asked Jesus what he asked. It's not just believing, but it's living the belief. A full-bodied yes or a full-bodied no. It's living it. So to what degree is your belief embodied? Because we can say we believe one thing, but our actions show that we believe something else, actually. So it is done unto you as you believe, but do you know, are you clear about what it is you actually believe? Believe in general, to hold something dear, to value it, to care about it, to desire it. It is done unto you to the degree that you care, to the extent that you love, to the equivalent value you have regarded it. To believe is far more than just to think. A belief is a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical investment that we sow into the law of mind and action. And when we have the holy boldness to believe mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and act physically, then it will be done unto us as we believe. As our mental equivalent, it will be done unto us. To what degree do you value health and well-being? To what degree do you care about peace on earth, goodwill towards all? To what degree do you desire a world that works for all? To what degree do you hold dear your holy boldness? To cherish it to such a degree that you tend it carefully and diligently, patiently and powerfully. Seek and ye shall find. But you got to know what you're looking for. And if you want to be honest, yeah, okay. So let's listen to what he's saying. Yeah, cool. But when seeking, we are invited to be aware of the consciousness we are seeking from. Oh, that's a good point. Be aware of the consciousness that we are seeking from. Am I seeking for peace on earth, goodwill toward all, but from the consciousness of it's not possible? Then I'm not really seeking. I'm going through the actions, but I really don't want to find it because I don't believe I can. Am I looking for a relationship or romance from the consciousness of nobody out there is going to love me? There's nobody who would ever want me. Then I'm not really, my mental equivalent is that of lack, scarcity, never can, never will show up. Then I'm not really, quote unquote, seeking. I don't remember which Chinese philosopher said it, but they said, when you seek it, you cannot find it. When you seek it, you cannot find it because you're looking for something that already is. So, Nansen was a disciple of Basho, the teacher of Joshu, and this exchange happened when Joshu was a young man. Joshu, what is the way? Nansen, ordinary mind is the way. Shall I seek it? No. If you seek it, you cannot find it. That's what I just said. This time it's a Japanese philosopher. Or maybe it's, never mind. If you seek it, you cannot find it. Then how shall I know the way? The way is not a matter of knowing or not knowing. Knowing is delusion. Now, knowing is confusion. Breathe. The true way is as vast and as boundless as outer space. How can you talk about it in terms of right or wrong, this or that? And at that moment, Joshu became enlightened. Now, the point of this is, especially the idea of knowing. Am I knowing from the consciousness of the collective? Then it is going to be a delusion. It is going to be confusion. This is why there's that famous saying, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. Because he's proclaiming to know, quote unquote, versus to know from the consciousness of the divine. When Dr. Holmes says, don't have faith in God, have the faith of God. Don't simply know the way the collective consciousness knows. That's a series of facts, generally, assumptions, opinions. It's not knowing, right? The oracle told Neo that being the one or knowing you are the one is like being in love. No one has to tell you you're in love. Your whole body knows. You feel it deeply. You simply know. Cheryut Imwe from Star Wars says, I am one with the Force and the Force is with me. And I remix it and say, I am the Force and the Force is me. How do we get to that space of knowing this infinite awareness? That which it is, I am. Alan Watts, I love when I first was told this story, but Alan Watts says that he had a discussion, with a great master in Japan, and that they were talking about, various people who are working to translate Zen books, Zen manuscripts into English. And he said, that's a waste of time. Because if you really understand Zen, you can use any book. You can use the Bible. You could use Alice in Wonderland. You could use the dictionary. Because the sound of rain needs no translation. Are we living our lives in such a way that the sound of rain needs no translation? Are we living our lives in such a way where we can pick up the Bible and see science of mind and spirit. We can pick up Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, science of mind and spirit. We can watch any television show or movie, science of mind and spirit, because the sound of rain need no translation. When we are living from that consciousness, it's far easier. Like Dr. Holmes said, you find me 1,000 people in the world who know what religious science is and use it and live it, and I myself live to see, he didn't use these words, but a world that works for all. The living spirit shall walk through us, in us, and as us, brand new into its own creation. And a new glory will manifest and show up and be created. Are we using this power to that degree? You know, he even says, there is a power transcendent beyond our needs, our little wants. But demonstrating a dime is good if you need it. Healing pain, healing oneself of pain is certainly good if you have pain. But understand that there is far more than just a dime. There is far more than just being healed of the pain. There's more than just that. So don't focus solely on, I want a dime. I want to be free from pain. What about, I want to live in a holy and bold, audacious way? Are we willing to stretch into that? The audacity to proclaim freedom via rest in the now. Rest has been a revolutionary act for my soul. Trisha Hersey. Rest has been revolutionary for my soul. In other words, taking care of myself is a revolutionary act. Are you acting in those kinds of revolutionary ways? Are you believing in such a way that it is holy, bold, and revolutionary? Are you declaring it and proclaiming it through your every action? Is your life a drop the mic moment? Because you are living to your fullest potential, moment by moment, breath by breath. The science of mind and spirit, when it is truly understood, practiced, and lived by us as a way of life, it will by default inspire and invite us to live in a bolder, more creative, more expansive, more compassionate, and loving manner, in ways that are audacious. And the reason is simple. Like Dr. Holmes said, whatever is true of God is true of your life. Since your life and the life of God are not two, but one. Or to quote the book of John, Jesus answered them and said, is it not written in your law, I said ye are gods? When we understand who and what we truly are, how could we not aspire, be inspired, and have the desire to live that truth? This week's affirmation, declaration, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, say it with me on the second go round. I am bold, courageous, and brave. Together. I am bold, courageous, and brave. Why did I just hear Viola Davis in my head talking about you are smart, you are bold, you are courageous, and you are brave. And so it is. All right, come on, Ray. Barrymore, shut your face. Yeah, I know. Hush up now. Sophia home. Okay. This this week's journal questions and questions for the Thursday night study group. Number one, what, if any, hidden beliefs or perceptions or biases about what it means to be bold and audacious impact how I live life? What, if any, keep it commenting, what, if any, hidden beliefs or perceptions or biases about what it means to be bold and audacious impact how I live my life? Do we have biases, perceptions, and hidden beliefs that are impacting our lives? If so, what are they? Does the idea of being bold or audacious intimidate me in any way? To whom much is given, much is required. If so, in what way does that imitation, in what way does that intimidation show up in my life? What do I need to release in order to take bold action with sacred audacity? What do I need to embody in order to take bold action with audacity? And lastly, how can I incorporate sacred audacity and beautiful boldness into my spiritual practices? I know it says practice, and I'm saying practices. Keep it plural, because I know how some folks can be. We focus on that, expand it. Spiritual practices. And we breathe. Breathe with the awareness that that which is sacred is incarnating itself as us. That which is divine and bold is individualizing itself in, through, and as us. That which is the very beauty of sacred audacity is living, moving, and having its beingness right here, right now, as this thing called my life. There is only that which it is, and what is true of it must be true of me. So I live, move, and have my beingness, manifesting my divine, sacred, spiritual magnificence, my powerful potential as the universe individualizing itself. I live, move, and have my beingness as love made flesh. And I live it in a holy, and bold way. I live and move and have my beingness with the mantra that the USS Enterprise and Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock and Lieutenant Uhura, I live my life in such a way that they sought out new life forms and new civilizations. I seek out new opportunities to live, move, and have my beingness as love made flesh. I live, move, and have my beingness and seek out new beloved communities, new civilizations of joy, oneness. And I boldly live in a way that I have never done before, but I choose to do so now. I choose to do so now. I choose to live that way now. The law says yes. So it is with joy and gratitude that I simply stand back and marvel at the way that yes is manifested. The way that it shows up in me, through me, with me, around me, as me, and all of creation. because this is already done. It is already manifested. It is already made flesh, made form. The absolute completeness and wholeness and perfection of a life well lived is being lived right now. That is living my amen. That is living answered prayer. Not just myself, but this truth applies to all. And it is done. And so it is. So it is. Much love and blessings. Since our June dates for after service fellowship are still to be determined or to be announced, because there's a lot of stuff going on in June, make sure you check either in the chat on Facebook or in the chat on YouTube, because either I or Tracy will type in, yes, we are having after fellowship, or not today. And I'm trying to remember dates. Anyhow, check the chat and you will be able to identify if we are or if we are not. If you don't see anything in the chat, then it means we are already taking it to the streets and we will not have an after message fellowship. But we will see you soon. We love you and we appreciate you.